after a while exposed to that, I thought they were as far away from science as you could get. And when I decided that I was going to become a doctor, they attacked me and said, "No, you can't do that because it's not the right thing to do." And that's when I first got the inclination that this was bullshit. And so anyway, I walked away from that.
I want to make a point about something the previous caller said, which is that here is an example where people believe things for religious reasons, but it's actually harmful. I mean, people do die because they have Christian Science beliefs and will not be allowed to go to a medical professional. And
absolutely.
Or take their kids to a medical professional.
Yeah, that's even worse because they're not making the decision. And it's an indisputable fact that medical technology has greatly increased the lifespan and quality of life of people around the world. And so even if you did believe that there was an objective morality, don't delegate that to religion because they certainly haven't got it.
No. And so I went ahead and went into pre-med, and then I discovered after a while that I didn't have the passion for it, but I had to discover that. And in fact, I had taken a job in a hospital, and to try and see if I really was molded for this. And what happened was that I ran into, while I was working in the hospital, I ran into a member of the Christian Science Church who was in the hospital. And I said, "Well, what are you doing here?" He says, "Oh, it's bullshit." And I said, "Well, yeah." So anyway, but I did eventually drop out of pre-med, and I have always said that there are a lot of people walking around today alive because I dropped out of pre-med. But,
okay.
But in
kind of subverted the point I was making earlier.
So anyway, but the other point I was trying to make is that my brother has become this born-again Christian. It just drives me crazy. And finally I said to him, "I have a better idea. Why don't you grow up?" And he just hung up on me.
Huh, that's surprising.
And the whole thing is that I have a suspicion, and if you ever listen to this program, I know him, that he has got gay tendencies, and he's had them for years.
I don't know what that means, but
and the reason he has latched on to this religious crap is because he's afraid of going to hell.
Okay.
And I just feel sorry for him.
Yep. Well, we're sorry too.
And anyway. Oh, one other thing. My granddaughter.
Okay. This is the last thing. Then we got to move on.
All right. My granddaughter it was explained to her recently what the whole thing about Jesus and the virgin birth and the whole nonsense was explained to her in detail. And she looked at me and she says, "You gotta be kidding."
That's very cute.
So
how old is
I
she?
have very good hope for her.
How old?
How old is she?
All right, thank you.
Okay,
right.
bye. That always reminds me of the South Park episode about Mormonism, where at the end of the whole story, Kyle is like, "So, you actually all hear this story and you're still Mormons?
Well, I mean, and here's the thing about religion that I think is this caller.
Line 4's gone. Hang up before it's got a dial tone. Go on.
Yeah, I think this caller sort of, I think, lifts up something interesting about the way religious beliefs operate in people's lives, in that there is a kind of self-deception going on with a lot of people. Like, they'll say they believe things that they don't actually believe, and the way that you know they don't actually believe them is that they act in ways that are contrary to those beliefs. And they pick and choose in ways that they don't even admit that they're picking and choosing. And so, people like a Christian Scientist who goes to the doctor and they're like, well, I don't really believe that. If I'm going to die, I'm going to go to the hospital. So, I mean, I think people have their beliefs, and then those beliefs bump up against real life and real life experiences, and somehow our minds have the ability to compartmentalize between these things.
Yeah, definitely. So line 2.